Hi everyone and welcome back. Hope you had a nice midterm. So we are moving on to week 4 for junior cycle ordinary level. So we're going to focus mainly on quadratic equations today. So this is the last of the quadratic equations topic. So the first thing I'm going to do is just write down a definition of what a quadratic equation actually is, because this is something that students can struggle with. So a quadratic equation is one with an x squared term. So quadratic equation is one with an x squared term. So you're looking for an x squared term. Now, it can also have an x term. So it can also have an x term or a constant as well. Now I'm going to give you an example of that. So an example of that would be x squared minus 5x plus 6. So if we look at that, you see the x squared term there. You see the x term, so that's the coefficient. The coefficient is the number that goes in front of the x. So that's the x term. And then the constant, which is just the number, that never changes. So we're going to go on to the first example for our quadratics. You're going to be asked to verify that x equals 2 and x equals 3 are roots of the equation x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So that's the question, to verify. Now verify usually means prove. So verify that x equals 2 and x equals 3 are roots of the equation x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So let's work with x equals 2 first. So what we're going to do here, and I'm going to write this in as rules, we're going to plug in x equals 2 into the equation. So what that means is we're going to write out the equation here. So x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So anywhere we see x, we're going to put in 2. So it's going to be 2 squared minus 5 by 2 plus 6 equals 0. So we want to see, does the left hand side equal the right hand side? Okay, so 2 squared is going to give you 4. 5 or minus 5 by 2 is minus 10 plus 6. So we want to see, does this actually equal 0? Well, 4 take away 10 is minus 6. Minus 6 plus 6, it does equal 0, so that's verified. Okay, so just to reiterate again, I actually just did all of this out, and you can plug this directly into the calculator. 4 take away 10 is minus 6. Minus 6 plus 6, it does equal 0. And this is where I'm getting it from. You were told it equals 0, so you want to prove it. So now we're going to do the same for x equals 3. So we're going to plug in x equals 3 into the equation this time. Okay, so x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So anywhere we see x, we're going to plug in 3. So it's going to be 3 squared minus 5 by 3 plus 6. And we want to see, does it actually equal 0? 3 squared is 9. Minus 5 by 3 is minus 15 plus 6. So does it equal 0? 9 take away 15 is minus 6. Minus 6 plus 6, it does equal 0. So that's now verified as well. So that's it. X plus 2 and x plus 3 are roots of the equation, and that's how you verify. You plug in, first of all, x is equal to 2 into the original equation, and you plug in x equals 3 into the original equation. Okay, so we're going on to example 2 now. And for example 2, you're going to be asked to solve x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. So for this one, we're going to need to factorize this. We're going to take this bit first. So x squared plus 3x plus 2. So we're going to factorize it. So we'll remember how we factorize. So we're going to circle the 2. What are the factors of 2? So we have 2 by 1. They're actually the only factors of 2. Now remember, they need to either add or subtract to give the middle number, which is 3. So I'm going to write out my factors, which are, we've plus 2, or we've 2, and we've a 1, and we need it to equal plus 3. So we now need to decide what signs are going to go in front. So if I have a plus 2 and a plus 1, that'll give me a plus 3. So now what we need to do is open up our brackets. We put x in the first, x in the second. We've decided to go with plus 2 and plus 1. Now, be careful here. You were told that it equals 0, so we're going to let that equal 0. So this is the extra bit. In order to solve this, remember, solve means get a value for x. So get a value for x. So we're going to let x plus 2 equal 0, and then we're going to let x plus 1 equal 0. So we need to solve for x. So if x plus 2 equals 0, what's x? Well, we bring the 2 over here. There's a plus in front of it at the minute. When we bring it over, it becomes minus. It's going to be 0 minus 2. X take away 2, 0 take away 2 is minus 2. So x is minus 2. That's one solution. And then the other one, x plus 1 equals 0. So what's x? Well, I bring the plus 1 across the equal sign, it becomes minus. So it's going to be 0 minus 1. So x is equal to minus 1. That's the other solution. So we're going to write that the roots of the equation, so the roots of the equation are x equals minus 2 and x equals minus 1. So that's example 2. So then example 3. And again, you're asked to solve a squared plus 7a minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so we're going to do this the exact same way. We're going to factorize first. So we're going to factorize this much. So a squared plus 7a minus 8. So what are the factors of 8? 8 by 1, 4 by 2. So will either of those work to either add or subtract to give me the middle number, which is 7? 8 and 1 will give me 7. Now, what signs? We need it to be a plus 7. So if we have a plus 8 take away 1, that'll give me 7. So I open up my brackets. I'm going to put a in the first, a in the second. And we decided to go with plus 8 and minus 1. Now don't forget this last bit. Remember, it equals 0. So we're going to let this equal 0. So I'm just going to finish it up here. So we have a plus 8 equals 0, and we've a minus 1 equals 0. Now remember, solve, which means we want to get a value for a. So 8 is going to come over here. So a equals 0, take away 8. So your solution there is a is equal to minus 8. Then we have a is equal to, so we're going to bring minus 1 over here, so it's going to be 0 plus 1. So a is equal to 1. So that's the solutions then for example 3. And we'd write in there as well as that the roots of the equation are a equals minus 8 and a equals 1. Okay, so we're moving on to example 4 now. And example 4 is to solve the following equation. And it's 3a squared plus 9a equals 0. Okay, so for this one, we can solve it using a quadratic trinomial because you don't have a constant. You have a squared term, you have an a term, you don't have a constant. So what we need to check next, is there anything that's common to 3a squared and 9a? So I'm going to rewrite 3a squared like this. So 3 by a is 3a squared. I'm going to write it as 9a equals 0. Okay, is there any number that divides into 3 and 9? And the answer is 3. So I'm going to take that out. Is there any letter that's common? Well, we have an a here and we have an a here, so I'm going to pull out a as well. So 3a by something equals 0. So for here, 3a, so that's your 3a, multiplied by a gives me 3a squared. So I'm going to put a inside the brackets. plus what multiplied by 3a gives me 9a? The answer is 3. So we now have two roots. So we say that 3a equals 0, so that bit, and then we say a plus 3 equals 0. Now remember it said solve, which means solve for a. You want values of a. Okay, so if 3a equals 0, a is equal to 0 over 3. Now 0 divided by 3 is 0, so that's one solution, a is 0. The next solution, a plus 3 equals 0, so a is equal to 0. We're going to bring the 3 over here, so it's going to be 0 minus 3. So a is equal to minus 3, and that's your other solution. So a is equal to 0 and a is equal to minus 3. For that one, so I took out what was common. So i.e. highest common factor HCF. That's how I solved that one. And we're going to go on to example 5 now as well. And example 5 is going to be solve the following. So it's x squared is equal to 7x. Now this is a bit of a trick question. So what we want to do, as you've seen so far, we've had all of our equations equaling 0. So we want to do the same thing here. We want to bring 7x over here beside the x squared and let the whole thing equal 0. So we assume that there's a plus here. If we don't see a sign in front of a number, we assume it's positive. So if there's a plus in front of the 7, when we bring it over, it's going to become minus. So what you're going to have then is going to be x squared minus 7x is equal to 0. Now at this point we're going to try and factorise, and the way we factorise in this case is, again, we're going to take out what's common. What's common to x squared and 7x? So we've an x that's common to both, so I'm going to pull out x. What multiplied by x gives me x squared? The answer is x. What multiplied by x gives me minus 7x? And the answer is minus 7. So now we're just going to put a bracket around this. So one of our solutions is x equals 0, and the other solution is x minus 7 equals 0. Now that's one solution. We need to solve for x on the other side. So x is equal to 0 plus 7. So x is equal to 7. So there are your two solutions. X is equal to 0 and x is equal to 7. So moving on to example 6 now. And this is kind of more the same. So solve the following. And this example is x squared minus 9 equals 0. So let's have a look at this for a minute. So it's not a quadratic trinomial because you don't have three terms. So you don't, you'd need an x squared term, an x term and a constant, which you don't have. Is there anything that's common? So x squared and 9, there's nothing that's common there. So the only other option is the difference of two squares. So we've x squared, take away. Could we rewrite 9 as something squared? We could. So we can rewrite it as x squared minus 3 squared equals 0. So now the rule is, so you remember this from before, we open up two sets of brackets. We put x in the first, x in the second, 3 in the first, 3 in the second, and the rule goes plus with one, minus with the other. Don't forget to let it equal 0 because it equals 0 up here. So now we need to take it that step further. X plus 3 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. So we need to solve for x, so the plus 3 comes over here, so it becomes minus. So x is equal to 0 minus 3, so then x is equal to minus 3. So that's one solution. And then the other solution, so we're going to bring the 3 or the minus 3 over, so x is equal to 0 plus 3, so x is equal to 3. That's the other solution. So there are your two solutions to that, and that was the difference of two squares. We're going to do another example like that now, so example 7. And again, solve the following. And this time it's going to be y squared minus 81 equals 0. So let's look at this again. Y squared, take away. Can we rewrite 81 as something squared? Yes, we can. We can rewrite it as 9 squared. So I'm going to rewrite it as y squared, take away 9 squared equals 0. We're going to open up our two sets of brackets. We're going to put y in the first, y in the second. We're going to put plus 9 with one and minus 9 with the other and let it equal 0. So then we're going to write down y plus 9 equals 0. And then we're going to write y minus 9 equals 0. So we're going to bring the 9 over here beside the 0. So it's going to become y is equal to 0 minus 9 because it was plus before. So y is equal to minus 9. That's one solution. And then the other one, we're going to bring minus 9 over beside the 0. So y is equal to 0 plus 9. So y is equal to 9. So there are your two solutions. So they're done the exact same way. Just be careful when it says to solve, it means get values for this letter, whatever the letter is. Okay, so we're going to go through some exam questions now. I've pulled a question from 2017. So this is 2017 paper 1. And this is question 11 from that paper. So let's have a look at the question. So factorise x squared plus 4x minus 5. One of the factors is x plus 5. Now you'd have to do your workings for this. So x squared plus 4x minus 5. So the way we do this is we're going to get the factors of 5. 5 by 1. They're the only ones that you can get anyway. So you have a 5 and you have a 1 and you need it to equal 4, which is the middle number here. So what signs are we going to put in front of it? Plus 5, take away 1 will give you 4. So we're going to open up our brackets. So it's going to be x in the first, x in the second. We went with plus 5 and we went with minus 1. So the first one is done for you, x plus 5, which is what we had here. The second one is going to be x minus 1. Now if you look at part B, it says using your factors from part A or otherwise solve the equation x squared plus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. So I'm going to rewrite that. So x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals 0. Now we're after solving this, okay? This is the solution. So I'm going to rewrite it. So x plus 5 by x minus 1 equals 0. So I'm going to let each of them equal 0. So x plus 5 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. So we want to get a solution for x. Okay, so we're going to bring the 5 over here. So x is equal to 0 minus 5. So x is equal to minus 5. So that's one solution. And then the other one, x minus 1 equals 0. So x is equal to 0 plus 1 because I brought the 1 over here. So x is equal to 1. That's your other solution. Okay, so using your factors, you've just solved the equation. So your first one is x minus 5 and the second one is x is equal to 1. Okay, so I've pulled another paper now. This is 2013 and this is from paper 1 and it's question 11. So factorise the quadratic expression x squared minus x minus 12. So I'm going to rewrite that. So x squared minus x minus 12. Now this can throw some people because of this here. X is just the same as saying 1x. So I'm going to put a 1 in there. Okay, so I'm going to write in a 1 like that. So the way we factorise is we're going to get factors of 12. So 3 by 4, 6 by 2, 12 by 1. So any of these pairs that either add or subtract to give you the middle number, which is 1. So 3 and 4 will work. So we have a 3 and we have a 4 and we need it to equal, be careful here, minus 1. So we need it to equal minus 1. So we need to decide what signs are going to go in front here now. So we need them to equal minus 1. So if we had a plus 3 and we took away 4, then that will equal minus 1. So we're going to put x in the first, x in the second. We went with plus 3, so I'll put that in here. And we went with minus 4, so that's going to go in here. So that's the answer to the first part. And then, like the last question as well, it's saying use your factors from part A to solve the equation. So what we had was x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. And what we're after doing is solving it. So x plus 3 and x minus 4 equals 0. So we're going to let both of them equal 0. So x plus 3 equals 0. So x is equal to 0 minus 3. So x is equal to minus 3. That's the first solution. Second one, so x minus 4 equals 0. So we're going to bring minus 4 over here. So x is equal to 0 plus 4. So x is equal to 4. That's your other solution. Okay, so that's question 11 there from 2013, and that's done the exact same way. So I have another exam question that I'm going to do now on the next slide. Okay, so we have 2 more exam questions to do. So this one is from 2015, and it's paper 1 again, and it's question 13. So let's have a look at the question, and it says solve. Now, if it says solve, it means solve for x. So solve the equation x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So I'm going to rewrite that. So x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Now remember the rules, we're going to factorise first. Okay, so we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. So we need factors of 12. Now keep in mind that we need them to add or subtract to give you 7. Okay, so we have 6 by 2, 3 by 4, 12 by 1. So 3 and 4 will work. So we have a 3 and we have a 4, and we need it to equal the middle number, which is a 7. So if we put pluses in front of both of those, that'll work. So if we open up the brackets, x in the first, x in the second, we said plus 3 and plus 4, and we let that equal 0. Now we're not done yet because it says to solve. So we have x plus 3 by x plus 4 equals 0. So we're going to let both of these equal 0. So x plus 3 equals 0 and x plus 4 equals 0. So x is equal to 0 minus 3 because the 3 comes over here, the plus 3 comes over, it changes sign. So one solution is x is equal to minus 3. And the second solution then, so x plus 4 equals 0. So x is equal to 0 minus 4 because it becomes negative when it comes over here. So then x is equal to minus 4. So that's another solution. For part B of that question, it says to verify. So verify means to prove. So prove that one of your answers is correct. Okay, so I'm going to just go with x is equal to minus 3. So I'm going to pick that one. Now the way you verify is you plug it into the original equation. Okay, so remember the very first equation or very first quadratic I did tonight was one of these. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. So it's x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So anywhere I see x, I'm going to put in minus 3. So it's going to be minus 3 squared plus 7 by minus 3 plus 12. So minus 3 squared will give you 9, because when you square a negative number, it always becomes positive. Plus 7 by minus 3 gives you minus 21. So 9 minus 21 plus 12. So 9 take away 21. So to put that into the calculator, 9 take away 21. That'll give you minus 12. Minus 12 plus 12 gives you 0. So that's verified. So it does equal 0. So it's verified. And that's that question. So we have one more to do now on the next slide. This last question is from 2018. And this is paper 1. So we are being asked here to factorise 3x plus 6y. So 3x plus 6y. Okay, so it's not a quadratic trinomial because you don't have an x, you don't have a squared term. And also we don't have a constant, which is just a number. Is there anything that's common here? Is there anything that's common to 3x and 6y? So the letters aren't common, but could we use a number? So is there any number that goes into both 3 and 6? And the answer is 3. So if I pull out 3, so what multiplied by 3 gives me 3x is going to be x. What multiplied by 3 gives me 6y is going to be 2y. That's it factorised. Now, you could just double check. 3 by x gives you 3x. 3 by 2y gives you 6y. So that's it factorised. Now, the next part of the question is to multiply out and simplify this here. So this is kind of going back to the material that we did in the first and second week. So 2x plus 7 by x minus 4. The way we do these is we're going to multiply this term by everything in these brackets, and then this term by everything in these brackets. So it's going to be 2x by x minus 4, and then multiplying this term, so it's plus 7 by x minus 4. So 2 by x gives you 2x squared. 2x by minus 4 gives you minus 8x. 7 by x gives you 7x. And finally 7 by minus 4 gives you minus 28. Okay, so we don't have any other squared terms, so I can bring down 2x squared. I'm just going to cross that off because I've dealt with it. Minus 8x plus 7x. So these are like terms, so you can add or subtract these. So minus 8x plus 7x. That would bring you to minus 1x. So now you've dealt with those. And finally, just bring down minus 28. That's it, multiplied out and simplified. You can't simplify that anymore. So that's it. I hope that was helpful on quadratic equations. I'm going to paste in a couple of links that you might find helpful, just some extra notes and questions. And if you have any questions, you can write in the chat. And hopefully that was helpful, and I will speak to you next week.